Welcome back to MaxsGarajMahal. Got a little package in here. We're going to attempt to install this today. It's really cold out. It's cold in here. Didn't turn the heat on. We got one little heater going over there about 3 or 4 minutes ago, so it's not very warm. So we've got this there's got to be a way in there somewhere. DAA036, and it's a tachometer. It's also an hour meter, hour gauge. And I'm dropping stuff on them. I should have seen if there's going to be something come out of there. There's another one. All right. It's got these little tiny zip ties. Oh, it must be some small fingered people make something that little. That's pretty neat. Alright, so it's going to be an hour meter. Really, the only thing I'm concerned with, it has an hour meter on it. Only thing I'm really concerned with is set this to the tach side. And the reason why we're doing this is I think every gasoline powered engine, even actually an electric engine, needs to have an RPM gauge on it, revolutions per minute. And the reason for that is when you're tuning, you want to tune for the most efficiency that that engine or that motor can provide. So that's one of the reasons why we're doing this. Another reason is that this old engine is running very, very lean, and I need to do a factory reset, which one of the factory technicians told me that I watched the Kohler University videos on YouTube. You learn a lot, and that's wonderful. That's why we all make these YouTube videos, is to impart information that you can use, and I use it a lot. However, at times we don't cover everything you need to see or hear, and that's the reason why you put the comments in below, so we can make sure that we fit our videos to the information you require. So with that said, I put up a post in the Kohler Motor Company Facebook group, or owners group, and I'm telling them about this lean condition, how hard it is to get rid of it. I don't have the Kohler programmer. I also don't have the connector that connects to the computer to the machine, and for one machine, $279 is a lot of money for a little piece of wire this long, so I'm not going to buy one. So they told me what you need to do is, after I told them I'd watch their university programs, they says instead of doing your RPM at 1500 to reset your learning PCM, your computer, you need to first set it, the RPM, down to 900, hence the RPM gauge. So now that you have an explanation, we're going to go over here and set this thing up, but first I'm going to show you what I'm going to use to put this in. I'm going to use a drill. Could be any brand drill. As you can see, I have several brands here. I've got Black & Decker. I've got a couple of different kinds. I've got a great big old huge Black & Decker Firestorm over it. Weighs about 5 pounds. Boy, it's a hoss. I've got Milwaukee's, Ryobi's. I've got some that's not even in this part of the building. So anyway, you can use whatever brand you want. I'm going to use a 7/64. That's a really small drill bit. And I'm going to put these on with stainless steel sheet metal screws that has a screwdriver slot and a hex head. Hex head on this is a 5/16 US or SAE head. So we're going to drill the 7/64 hole and screw this in, and that'll hold down this forevermore, because this is plastic, doesn't weigh much. We'll also probably drill it'll probably take the next step up. However, this might work. I'm going to drill probably a 1/2 inch hole, and I'm going to put a grommet in there to save the wire, because this is going to go through the dash, out the dash again, so we'll probably have to drill 2 holes, and then alongside the frame, we're going to have to find the coolest spot on the frame so that the engine doesn't overheat and burn the wire. Then we'll take this to the #1 spark plug. We'll go around the spark plug wire, not the boot, but the wire, and we'll go around it 8 times or whatever it takes to take up the slack. Then we'll use one of these little miniature, I'll probably use a better wire tie than this, to hold those wraps, keep them from unwinding. With all that said, we're going to take our little dab of tools over to the machine, turn the camera around, and we're going to install this for you. So here we go. Ooh, okay. Now that we've chosen our grommet, and I'm going to show you the grommet we've chosen. And the reason why we chose this grommet is, as you can see here, the size of the wire fits nicely inside around this, inside the hole of the grommet. The grommet also fit an existing hole we have here, so we're going to utilize that. So that's going to work out real famously for us. I never did understand why anyone used that term, but I heard it a lot during my early years, so I'm going to use it famously. Okay, so now we're going to locate where we want to put the I'd like to put it right there, but there's a bolt right here that makes it quite difficult because it's the mounting bolt. However, the shop that used to work on this thing so much, somehow or another they managed to put a bolt in there. It's just slightly too long. It bottomed out, and you've probably seen me on some other videos attempt to take this out. I just attempted it again a while ago. Even tried drilling it out. The little screw extractors wouldn't drill it, so that's pitiful. Okay, so I could still put that with this bolt removed here, stainless steel bolt. I put stainless steel bolts in for this reason. They're not going to rust into the nuts and cause them to corrode up and cause a problem. So I could put that right here like that over the existing bolt, and just this wire goes straight through that real nicely. It even cover up that ugly hole that's there. But at some point in time, I intend to grind this bolt head off and drill it out, or maybe try to drill through as much as possible, enough to put a new heated coil in it. So we can't do that. So let's go over here and look and see what we can do to go another route, maybe another angle, because we don't want to drill another hole in that dash if we don't have to. And we don't want to get too close to your clutch knob handle, because then it makes it difficult to. And I don't know who it is, but thank you for calling during our filming. So hang on a minute, we'll be right back. Alrighty, boys and girls, we're ready to locate the tachometer. And I'm going to do it right here. I'm just going to drill it through with this. Move this for a second. Remember, there's a plastic gas tank under this, so and make sure when you drill through that you're not getting anywhere near that plastic. And go easy, because you don't want to just bang through there once it breaks through. You can turn the speed up like I'm doing, but you don't want to put much pressure on it. Like that, bad thing. Okay, so that's one hole. Now then, to make sure we don't lose where we want that to go. Now, by the way, keep all your tools handy. Now your magnet's not going to work on a stainless steel bolt, so don't drop it, because you'll be looking for it. A magnet ain't going to help you. So I'm going to go ahead and put this one in the location real quickly. Oh, by the way, and that screw, I'm going to go ahead and bore that out with the screw, because that's really what we're doing. Tell you what I ought to do too is probably, now I drilled that hole just slightly smaller than the base of the screw, so I'm going to go ahead and run the screw through it to open it up. And actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and drill it one size larger. Let's see if I have a drill in here that size. We don't want to get too carried away. That's just barely going to give it some threads, but consider this thing probably only weighs 1/16 of an ounce. That's all you really need. Unless you're hanging on a limb, you might wish you had more. But if that happens, I'm not going to be too concerned. There we go. Now then, let's try that again. So we've got the tack bored out with the screw. Go ahead and start that. Okay, now that's in place. Let's go ahead, change drill bits. We'll get the other one located, the other hole. Hold this in line where I want it. Move that out of the way. Tell you what, let's do. We're getting closer to that gas tank, so let's move this slightly out of the way. We'll have to use both hands to hold the dash as well as but that'll make sure that we're nowhere near. And we would have been plenty clear, but I just want to make sure and caution you guys to keep your mind on what you're doing so that you keep clear of that gas tank. Alright, change bits. Alrighty. Now then, let's take another screw. These are stainless steel 10 by half. And they are, again, hex headed with the slot. So you can use a flat blade screwdriver, whatever. I like to use a socket, a 6-point socket on them. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to bore out the hole in the tachometer, utilizing the screw itself to waller that out, if you want to put it that way. Okay. That's down. And that's down. Okay. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I had a hole here, but I'm having to cover it because I never did come up with the metal I needed to angle this up yet. So what I'll do is when I do, I'll just use these holes here. But temporarily, I'm going to go ahead and put another hole for my grommet here, right here. So it goes down, goes straight in like this, comes down through the dash, the side of the dash, out, down along the frame, around the engine, and then over to the #1 spark plug wire. So let's go ahead and locate that hole real quickly. And we want a nice smooth transition of the wire so that it doesn't make an abrupt turn. So we're going to do it with this right here. And you make sure, remember, you've got a cable goes down here for your throttle, several different things you want to make sure that you take into account. And I'm going to line it up with that wire best I can. There we go. Coming up the hill, don't want to do that. And you do want to stay away from the wire, by the way. I'd be smart if I would move that. Getting close. Getting closer. Is that what we want? Let's take a look. I decided not to use that hole also, so we could do a real quick demonstration of putting these grommets in place. And I believe that'll be plenty big enough for you. I could make it a little larger, looks like, but I believe I can get that grommet in that hole right there with that size hole. And what we did is we just take the flat blade screwdriver and walk the lip through it. So now it is in place, it looks like, almost. Now, it's laying nice and flat. Let me see, I don't know if y'all can see that or not. But I'll try it to zero in for you. Alright, do y'all see that grommet? I'll go put my finger on it for you. Grommet is right there. As I said, we're going to run the wire. Try to pull it back from the outside of the engine. Now you're going to run the wire through the grommet. Push the little wire right through there. Then we'll reach underneath and start pulling it through. That hole probably should have been just about another step larger, because it's sort of squeezing on the wire, which is fine. It doesn't hurt a thing. By the way, when you're doing this, always look under your dash to make sure, or whatever you're drilling, make sure you've got clearance where you're putting everything, because if you don't, you sure could cause yourself some problems with wiring, with cabling, bracketing, things like that. So this is going to be a real nice smooth transition here in just a moment, and it's going to look factory other than the fact it's mounted on the outside. I probably should have cut a hole in there, mounted it up from the bottom, put a couple of screws in it, and it would look real nice and neat. But hey, you know what? I think this is a lawnmower, and that's really not necessary. Now I'm going to leave just a little slack in there. I mean, just a tiny bit. So let me see if I can get it where you can see that. And I got so much light in my eyes I can't see what you can see, to be honest with you. And plus I'm old, fat, and ugly, so. But there he is right there. So I'm going to go down, run the wiring. I'll be right back. Okay, if you're still with me, I ran the wire through the dash, mounted the tack up here, mounted it through the dash, put the grommet through there, put the wire through the grommet, brought it down around to the wiring harness, and then I wanted to make sure that this wire is pretty well where I want it, so meaning that I want to make sure that it doesn't get into workings or against fuel lines such as that. Now this is a fuel line right here. However, we're going to come up through here, and you can see I put some of these wire connector or holders right here, in various places. I've got one here on the bolt that holds the rectifier or regulator. I've got one here behind the oil temperature right up this way. I've got another one right here on this protrusion, and that's making it all come. Now this wire is not tight yet, so I will tighten this all up to keep it in place. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to put one more on here. Oh, got shocked. I don't know why I got shocked, but I got shocked. It's not good. I'm too old for that. I could have a heart attack. No, just kidding. I hope not. Okay, so I've got one here somewhere. Probably fell down on the floor a while ago. That's okay. We'll find it later, or it'll fall off the lawnmower somewhere. So we're going to put one right here on this transition. So let's find us a screw to go in there. How does that look to y'all? A little bitty tiny thing here. Alright, so we're going to take that sucker, and I'll tell you what, let's do. Let's turn it around this way. No, I don't like that. I like it the other way better. I'd rather be pulling against this right here, against this backside, than it would against the side that's got the screw in it. Okay, so I'm going to put the screw through here, like that. And since it's going to transition, I want it to point that sucker straight down to the next connection point. Whoa, booger. Stay. Well, I just lost another one. How about that? I found this one though. Okay, here we go again. Now try this again. Alright, now we'll point that sucker down. And this is self-drilling. Alright, that's good and snug. That's going to make that wire come right through there. Now we're going to, all we're going to do here is start wrapping this wire. And we're going to wrap it real nice and tight. And I'm going to use a different, remember those two little tiny zip ties I showed you? I don't know where they're at now. Had them run around in my mouth for an hour. But I kept getting phone calls. It's been 2 hours since I've had that videotape on. You need to go around this 8 times at least. That needs to look something like that. Now you can cut off the excess if you want to. But you can also continue wrapping this. Won't hurt a thing. And then if you ever want to move it, move the tack or move it to another piece of machinery, all you've got to do then is just unwind this cord, this little cable right here, and you've got some extra cable. Now you don't need all this, as I just said, but at the same time, that inductive cable, well, you know what? I had one of those in my mouth a while ago with the bigger ones too. I guess I knocked it off there when that guy standing there talking to me. I apologize. I normally try to have this stuff ready, but that's not necessarily true, is it? Alright, I got some little tiny black ones way down in there. And I prefer black for this particular situation. So let's dig way down in there and get us a black one, if that's at all possible. There, we'll get 2 or 3. We're going to put 2 there anyway. So, we got 2 black ones. There they are. Put one in my mouth. Oh no, that's good and sanitary. Then we're going to take this and wrap it around. We'll go ahead and put the end through the zip tie like that. And all we're going to do, just tighten that down over the top of that so it can't go anywhere. Like this right here. If I didn't tighten it too much already before I got it on there, that'd be about right, wouldn't it? Trying to stay out of the way of the camera sure makes it tough sometimes. But hey, it is what it is, ain't it? Ain't that what they say it is? What it is, ain't it? Can you hear me over that heater? You probably don't want to hear me anyway, but there she blows right there. All right, that's on. Here's the second one. We're going to come up here. We'll come around this way, over the top, and straddle that. If it's dark yet. It's like this right here. That, my friends, will keep that from coming unwound. Now I can turn this around here until those wire ends move upward, so that you're not going to get poked with them all the time. There you go. So that's how simple installing one of these tachometers is. The hardest part is going to be to start the engine and then set the tachometer. But we've got it on number 1 cylinder, and we should be ready to go. So let me flang open some doors here and start this thing up and see if the tachometer works. Be right back. Okay, let's see if we can see this. Well, it looks like the tach works just fine. Okay, now what we've got to do here is clean all this stuff up, put everything away, turn the camera around where you can see it. So bear with me. I'll do that. Alrighty, let's start her up again and we'll get to watch that tach together. Alright, there you go. Tachometer installed. Everything's routed, the grommets are put in, all the connection points are where we want them. And now I'm going to tighten each one of those little throughputs up a little bit. Not so tight that they won't move, but tight enough to have some friction around them. And that's going to be the last part of the installation, which you don't have to do that. That's just what I'm going to do. So, but I do want it to where I can always remove it and move it from one machine to another if I want. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of this. If you did, please subscribe. Please hit that like button. Need lots of subscriptions. Need lots of likes. And please share if you would. And as we always say here at MaxsGarajMahal, y'all come back and see us now. You hear?